The words of this week's Parsha transformed my world this week. This week's Parsha is Parshas Truma. This is the Parsha where it talks about building the Mishkan, the sanctuary that Hashem wanted the Jews to build in the Beis HaMikdash in order so we could bring God into the Mishkan, to bring God into the hearts of every single Jew, the Mishkan within each one of us. And in this week's Chumash, when we learn the daily Chumash, it's very detailed on the creation, how to create the Mishkan. What God tells Moshe to do. The board should be 10 amas high with the curtains on top and all these little details, and we're reading it day after day after day. It's like, yo, how does this apply to me? Like, I thought that the Torah, every detail applies to me. How does this apply to me? How can I find application and meaning? And as we know, the Torah is a book of lessons to every person in every situation, in every circumstance. How does this apply to me in my life? That the details of the Mishkan and its building. And I think it's actually beautiful that not only does it take, so to say, a little bit of nullification to in my life in order for me to learn this Chumash, I have to sit and, you know what, even when it's hard, even when it's rough, even when it's not so exciting, I'm going to learn this Chumash, I'm going to learn this, because you know what, when everything is going to be great, when everything is just high and feeling based and amazing, not necessarily is that the most beautiful. You know when it's most beautiful for me, when it's most beautiful, is when we can bring the two together and we can bring the negativity and the positivity, when we can bring the lows and the highs, when we can bring the parts that are not so exciting with the parts that are exciting. It makes the exciting so much better. And that was the Mishkan. And that's the idea I'm trying to bring out. That really, I thought, when I read this Chumash, I'm like, yo, this really applies to me in my life. Is that the Mishkan, which really is the Mishkan of each one of us. I have to know every detail of that Mishkan. I gotta know the ins and outs. I gotta come to the game knowing each detail, knowing what's gonna happen, how am I gonna be, what's going on here, who am I serving, what's the game plan. God's telling you, dude, you gotta know detail after detail. If this is your purpose, if this is my purpose in my life, if this is going to be the Mishkan I'm building for myself, I gotta know every little detail in this Mishkan. How is God gonna dwell in my Mishkan? How is my Mishkan made of? And another thing I applied to my life of this was that there's no details that are not important. What does this mean? That means in order to love yourself, you have to love everything. You can't love a certain part of yourself. You must love every single idea of yourself, the good, the bad, the not so good, the not so bad. You have to love every single detail. It's all or nothing. You can't love only the good parts of yourself, but not the, no. You love yourself because that's who you are. You love everything with it. And that makes it a greater love. That's the same thing with the Mishkan. In order to make a dwelling place for God, God has to dwell in every single idea, in every part of my mind, in every part of my heart, in my struggles, in my challenges, in my relationships, in my life. That's what it means, B'seicham, God dwells within me, within each one of us. Have a good Shabbos, Mashiach now. We should have God dwelling in each one of our hearts, and we should see it in a revealed way. Mashiach.